Is there a recipe for youthful success? In a new book titled The Formula, Unlocking the Secrets to Raising Highly Successful Children, Harvard Kennedy School faculty member Ron Ferguson and journalist Tatsha Robertson try to answer this question. After interviewing the families of hundreds of successful young adults, Ferguson and Robertson trace the roots of these individuals' successes to one common origin: good parenting. On this episode of Behind the Book, we'll take a closer look at the formula and what roles parents can play in their child's upbringing that will lead them down the path to success.
So I do really want to talk about what the formula actually is and what it entails, but first I kind of want to get into the story behind the book. Why did you decide to write it?
Well, Tatsha started around 2005. She was a journalist with the Boston Globe, a bureau chief at the time, and she was meeting all kinds of fascinating people. And she started to wonder how they got that way, and sometimes they would talk about their parents, and she thought parenting might have something to do with it. So she started interviewing people back then.
Professor Ferguson had been working on a project called the How I Was Parented Project, in which Harvard students interviewed fellow students to discuss how parenting had gotten them where they were. Professor Ferguson and Robertson connected, and their discussions eventually led the two to research and write the formula. At the heart of their formula are 8 roles which parents must navigate in the upbringing of their child. The authors found these 8 parental roles to be present in virtually every case they explored when interviewing families.
The first role is the early learning partner, and that's the parent who is very engaged with the child, doing things that the child experiences as fun, but where they're also problem solving and they're also learning skills. Then the second role is the flight engineer. If you think of life as a journey, well, really high achievers are on a pretty high trajectory through life. And the flight engineer makes sure that they stay on that trajectory. So if they start to go off track some kind of way, the flight engineer intervenes.
The third role, the fixer, ensures that the child has the resources and connections they need to succeed. The authors found that even in times of economic hardship, the families they interviewed were able to find resources and allies to help their children advance. The fourth role is the revealer, who shows the child how big the world is and what opportunities are available to them. The fifth role, the philosopher, helps their child find purpose.
You know, a 3-year-old can ask some pretty deep questions.
Yeah, totally.
And you can blow it off, or you can give a serious answer. So you might have a parent that'll go away and think for 2 days and come back with an answer that a child has asked.
Right.
The sixth role is the model, who is an adult that carries himself in a way that the child wants to emulate. I want to kind of be like that. The seventh role is the negotiator. The negotiator teaches the child how to make their case, how to defend their interests, how to speak truth to power respectfully. And the final role is the GPS navigational voice. And the GPS navigational voice is the mother or the father in the child's head, still speaking, still giving advice even after the child maybe has grown up and has moved away from home.
Ferguson and Robertson are careful to emphasize that success does not necessarily mean an Ivy League education or tons of money. Instead, the authors envision success as something a little more abstract and a lot more personalized.
These are people who have done a lot with what they had. They have become successful insofar as they are fully realized human beings. We have a little equation in the book that says smarts plus purpose plus agency equals fully realized. And so it's not success by anybody else's conception. It's having people who have the smarts to do what they need to get done, but they also are about something.
Yeah.
They have some things about the world that they want to change or some things that they want to achieve, and they have the gumption to get up and actually go do it.
Although the formula was effective among families of all stripes, it wasn't always evenly applied within the same family.
Well, one thing we do point out in the book is that the child needs to be receptive, and all your kids may not be receptive. So that may be one source of the difference. But more frequently, what we find is that not every child in the family experienced the formula. The parent may say, well, I raised them all the same way, but no, you didn't. Okay. One other point that's important to add is that not every child's going to be a superstar, but we still think the formula is going to help each child bring out the best in themselves.
Around the country, people are starting to take notice of the benefits this unique style of parenting can have on children. Since the book's release, educators and other community members around the country are trying to bring the message of Ferguson and Robertson's book to the children in their lives. Even the author's literary agent has said he started parenting differently as a consequence of the book. Back at Harvard, Ferguson is incorporating and expanding the lessons he learned through writing the formula into his own work as the faculty director of the university-wide Achievement Gap Initiative, under which he's already planning some intriguing future projects.
The Achievement Gap Initiative, the main project for the last few years has been a project called The Basics that came about after I noticed about 10 years ago that cognitive skill gaps are pretty stark by the age of 2, which means we need to get to parents early.
Right.
And we need to go to scale and get to all parents. And so this book will help us do that.
To learn more about the formula, you can visit mastersoftheformula.com and check out the Achievement Gap Initiative at agi.harvard.edu. This has been Behind the Book, a production of Library and Knowledge Services at the Harvard Kennedy School. Find past and future Behind the Book videos by subscribing to Harvard Kennedy School on YouTube, following us on Twitter at HKS Library, and visiting our website.